Hey, good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning. So, yes, early. I mean, I went to bed a little bit early. I don't go to bed like at 6 or 7 o'clock, but we wind down pretty early. As soon as the sun goes down, my dog and I just kind of go and chill out. And then yeah, I think I turned the TV off around 9:30. So I think I actually went to bed around 9:30. So I really got some good sleep after 2 days of waterfalls. It really did clear the pipes. Definitely, gave me another jump start into the new season. And yeah, we're headed into fall and now winter, and I'm up hella early. And I like being up early because it's so quiet and nobody is up, and it's nice. But if my husband's home, then especially if he's home like in the morning, I don't want to wake him up, so I kind of chill out. But he'll be home in about like an hour or so. So this is like perfect. But so yeah, so that's why I don't always do Facebook Lives on Saturday, because he's usually home like Saturday morning, and I want to make sure I let him sleep, so I don't go up and moving around too much. But anyways, yeah, we were talking about energy exchange from like the micro level to the macro level, and we talk about the different energy exchanges. From, is it a quid pro quo when you give your minerals to somebody? Do they give it back to you? Is someone taking, or someone giving, and there's imbalances? And so we know it from that perspective, that that when you're at a job, you expect to get paid. That's energy exchanges. When you're in a marriage, there's an energy exchange. When you're in any kind of friendship relationship, there's energy exchanges. So we understand that, but I want to take it more to so we learn from the macro level, from different contexts, I guess, but now it's like, let's take it to the sexual level. Okay? And it doesn't matter what kind of sex or whatever, sex, intimacy, all that stuff. Let's understand that right now, people on the protocol, regardless of whatever they subscribe to, they're kind of chilling out. It's not as much of an urgency to some people. Now, I'm not asking every single person that's on the protocol what their practices are, but I've got enough of feedback to know that people are calming down from giving away personally their minerals, where they're exchanging DNA indiscriminately or discriminately, whether they stopped going out and looking for it, or they've kind of cut down the frequency in the marriage. But there's a reasoning behind it. You get your biochemistry balanced out, it's not going to be an urgency. But here's the thing. I've seen, well, how do I say this? What triggered all this, what brought this on, is because I had a conversation with a friend who, we were talking about just dating and what people are doing. And some people, they are dating and they date a lot of different people. And it's great. We date a lot of different people. You're taking on different energies. And when you get really intimate, you take on DNA. Well, what's in the DNA? What's in all of those bodily fluids? It's DNA, right? It's data. And this is where STDs get transferred back and forth, but it's not a bad thing. When you think about it, STDs, it's only bad on a weak body, okay? But you're still getting data. How it manifests on your body is based upon how strong or how weak you are. So it's the irony about it is that when you're weak, you take on all this DNA and you can't process it correctly, okay? And that's why people are on the hunt, not because they can't process it, because it's an urge, because the body's on a death trajectory. And I have that whole theory about when the body is on a death trajectory, it's going to seek and find a mate to then keep the human race going, okay? But when someone is weak and they are ready to procreate, they're going to go and find a partner, and maybe their biochemistry is strong enough that they can withstand a few dates and find the right person to then settle down with. And that's kind of what the West, the whole monogamy is predicated upon, is finding a mate to settle down with, because it then cuts down on the instability. If we can get people to be settled and be stable and be a productive member of society, a family would be like the epitome of stability. Okay? And a mortgage and all of that. And then you have a nice functioning society. Well, it's been kind of now challenged, this through the conspiracy world, potentially feminism, and people are now challenging the institution of marriage, challenging monogamy, challenging all of that. And I think it's fine, but we have very weak people who cannot process that much amount of data properly, who do take on other people's DNA, and they don't know how to convert it to make it work for them. Okay, because they're giving away their DNA, they're taking somebody else's, but they don't know how to take somebody else's DNA and have it convert and work it to their benefit. And so it's like untapped resources. Okay, and then also too, when people get together, and you look at someone's background, that's why I went through that little timeline thing down at the bottom of the title here, is because the energy manifestation, the beginning of life, starts at conception. And the energy of a human starts at conception. And then how the human converts the energy is based upon the particular biochemistry, then how that DNA gets expressed. And it's based upon experiences. It's based upon how the child is raised, and then how they process the information from their parents and their environment in their young adult years, and then their learning experiences. And then middle age is kind of manifesting what you've been taught and what your idea and what your truth is. And then, of course, you take on new experiences, and then either you are settled in a marriage and you have a bunch of kids, and that's great, or you are now challenging the institution of marriage, or you see your marriage go to crap and now you're questioning that, and then you're off on another tangent, taking on other people's DNA. Okay, and so that's in the matrix and alternative matrix. And then we're seeing tantric sex, we're seeing all these different communal livings where there really isn't a commitment, everyone's just kind of exchanging DNA with each other indiscriminately, and that could be kind of dangerous. And then we're seeing then the sexual predators trying to go and give their DNA to people that they have no business giving their DNA to. But why do people gravitate towards certain people? I mean, it's like attracts like, okay? Or like attracts what you want to aspire to. Because you see somebody has a certain kind of minerals, DNA, knowledge, money, okay? And that's why you see some of these gold diggers who, if some of them are smart, there are gold diggers out there that are very, very smart. They knew that this person had, the money is great. Money is a direct correlation to smarts or access to resources and the allowance to keep living for however long, okay? And so when a gold digger does land their man, I would say that's very smart. Now, how she then converts that money to work to her benefit will then show how even smarter she is. And there's some smart gold diggers out there. Okay? Being a gold digger isn't a bad thing, because you recognize the resource, you recognize the data, you recognize the knowledge of this person, and you want to go and exchange energy because you want that knowledge, you want that data, you want all of that to then help develop whatever it is that you're focusing on. And so, yeah, when you see like the Real Housewives, even though I know it's a very insipid, kind of a superficial show, these women make a lot of money. Okay, and some of them have pooled their resources or found somebody that had the knowledge to give them what they needed to then develop their own business plan. And so that's really all, that's really why people, well, I don't say why. It puts a different spin on why people get together. And it has you understand that every single time you get with someone, you're taking their DNA, you're taking their data, and then you're giving yours away too. And can you replenish it? So that way you're not giving away all of yourself all the time, and then you're left a shell. Okay? And then when you take that DNA from someone, that equal exchange of energy, which is sexual relations, whatever they are, how are you converting that energy? How are you converting that information? And what are you doing with that information? And so right now, people who are in the healing process, they don't want to exchange that energy because they don't have enough right now for themselves. They're trying to replenish themselves. They really can't give that much to their partner or to anyone out there because they got to hold on to their minerals. They got to hold on to what they have because right now they're going through a healing process. They don't have enough energy to give to somebody else. And so, yeah, when you are going through the healing process, you're going to want to kind of be on your own. You're going to want to kind of just chill and question, how much of this energy can I afford to give to my partner? Okay, so when you're in a monogamous relationship, you're going to have to reevaluate how much of the minerals you give away. And if you do give away and then you take from somebody else, if you have that strength, what are you doing to convert that? And that's like your husband or your wife. Because really, that's what sexuality is. It's an equal exchange of energy, but it's not really equal. I mean, it is equal, but what do you do with it is really more to the point. Because there's people who have got with people who had money and they didn't make out. They didn't get what they were looking for because they didn't have enough. Didn't have enough strong biochemistry to know now what to do with that information, to process it correctly, to make it work to their benefit. And then you see people go into drugs, like Anna Nicole Smith is a perfect example. She found a way to get access to resources, but she couldn't live long enough to be able to really work it to her benefit. Yeah, she had a bit of an interesting life, and it was a kind of a sad life because she was being exploited by a lot of different people. But if she had a different childhood, but maybe would she even get into that point where she'd be in a strip bar and then some billionaire coming in and say, hey, so she probably wouldn't have been in that situation if she had a different childhood, a different set of parents, and a different environment. She may have utilized then a healthier biochemistry to go and do it herself. But I mean, anyone that is successful in anything has found the right people, knew how to take the resources from different people and convert it, gave away their own resources to other people and let them convert it. But some people don't convert your energy correctly, and they run it through a biochemistry that's really unstable, and it manifests, and you can see it in the behaviors. So I'm watching all these different groups out there on Facebook land, because that's what I just kind of look at the world, and I'm looking at all the different groups, and I'm telling you guys, Facebook is like the best data source. And yeah, I mean, I'm seeing tantric sex. I'm seeing people who are living doing all these orgies, or they're always like with different partners all the time, and they're doing the J juice, and it's just like, or are they doing the J juice? I don't know. But I mean, seriously, you're taking on all this data and information. Is your body able to process it correctly? That's one of the biggest things. And so, because I mean, what does processing it correctly mean? Because I mean, I've seen speakers out there that talk about tantric sex, and they, and they're in the spiritual healing community. They feel that sex and tantric stuff is like another access to another realm. And yeah, it's like a drug. It plays with a biochemistry. You're bringing up oxytocin on a continuous basis, and then your drive to bring up that oxytocin is like a drug. But with any drug, it causes imbalances. And so, I mean, when people do talk about the things that make them money, like tantric sex or group sex or all these different types of sexual things, do we really know the state really of what they're dealing with, like biochemistry wise? Okay. And a lot of them are aging. And so I look at just sex as like Can you replenish the minerals that someone has taken from you? Can you convert the energy that someone's giving you? Do you have enough energy to give to that person in that way? And if you do you know how to balance it out? But when you are doing the whole sexual revolution where you're having sex with so many different people, there's an imbalance, regardless of the orientation. I don't care what the orientation is. It's the fact is that, are you knowing how to balance that give and take of minerals and DNA? Are you balancing it correctly? Is it working to your benefit? Well, yeah, people say, well, I make money. Some people are in the prostitution business, they're making money. But is that money that they're making, is it really benefit them? And what does that benefit look like? Is it prolonging their life? Okay, you could say, yeah, for, it's my rent, it feeds me. But when you think about it, at some point you're going to be aged. You're not going to look as cute as you did in your 20s. When you're like a stripper in a bar and you can make and you look cute for about maybe 10 years. But when you're doing all of that stuff and maybe you're a prostitute, someone's taking your minerals, you're not converting it correctly, and they keep taking from you, and then you see that the accelerated degradation in the face from being used and abused. Because I'm sure working in a strip bar or being a prostitute probably accelerates the aging process much faster. Because I mean, you can look at how long someone in the porn industry can last, and then what kind of diseases they die from. Not that those diseases are bad, but only bad on a weak body. They haven't figured out how to replenish those minerals or convert the energy from all the johns that they've ever been with. And then once you do know how to convert that energy and strengthen your body, you're not going to want to have then the indiscriminate sex. See, that's the thing, is that Mother Nature says, okay, if you're going to take on all this information, she's going to make it hard. But if you do take on all this information, she'll make it easy for a minute, but then the devil does take his due. Okay? And it's only a short amount of time where you're taking advantage of taking on someone's minerals or giving away your minerals to get minerals back in a different way, and or twice. I mean, when you're with a person and you're having them pay to hang out with you, well, not only are you taking their DNA, their energy, and all their knowledge in the world, but you're also getting money from them. So essentially, yeah, if you're charging someone to hang out with you, then you're getting more of a return on your investment. Okay, and so the person that's buying your service is actually losing, but that's not how the people look at it. I mean, they are and they aren't, I guess. It depends on if they take that person's DNA that they're paying to have sex with, and are they converting it. But then once you get to be actually like really healthy, let's say on the J juice, you're not going to want to do that. Okay? And so I'm really speaking to those that are in the tantric sex world, those that are in this, well, it's all about, because they look at it as a spiritual thing. Yeah, spirituality is biochemistry. Okay? Tantric sex and all those different sexual things and tantric yoga and all of this stuff, it's just playing with your minerals or playing with your hormones. It's like a drug. And some people abuse that drug, or they politicize that drug. They justify it. Okay? And so when you're really young, and that's what's going on right now, is these kids that are so young are being indoctrinated into that world. And that's where all this controversy out there with these kids learning how babies are made at such a young age. And it could go either way. Either you're like, oh my God, I'm going to wait until I'm married, or they're going to be going and experimenting like right off the bat. And you don't know how that's going to manifest, because every kid is different in how they process that introduction to that information. And so, you have to understand what actually happens when you do that, and especially on bodies that are weak. Now, some people are strong and they can convert that, like Ivanka Trump. When you look at all of the millionaires out there, or the billionaires who have taken on their wives who, they had made their own little bit of money, but there are some that came from nothing and they've made something of themselves being married to that person. And you can't, and there's no way to really discount that or say it's bad, because they found a way. You know, they were able to handle themselves in that society. And even I'm sure people were taught, oh, she's a gold digger, and you know, she had to deal with that. But when you have your own business, when you have your own thought process in a way, and you know how to capitalize on yourself, and even though you have your husband's money, you knew how to maintain that business relationship or that love, because love really is like a business relationship. It's the equal exchange of energies. And are you, you know, are you valuable in that relationship in some way? Because let me tell you, people don't take on dead weight. How many people, well, not everybody, but some people do divorce or let go of somebody who is like dead weight, because they're taking more than they're giving, and the other person doesn't have that much to, doesn't have enough to give. They're not strong enough to give as much as that person needs, and then it's lopsided. And that's, sometimes it happens that way. Some people have so much to give, and they don't need to have that return, and they don't mind giving so much, but that's also imbalance too. Okay, so no matter where you are in society, what socioeconomic status you are, what are you doing to convert the minerals that you are exchanging with not only your partner, but then who it is that you are hanging out with? Whether it's just a superficial relationship where you're just hanging out and having coffee, so then between the sheets, okay? And so then you have to figure out, you know, if you're going to be between the sheets with somebody, it really needs to be like someone that's smarter than you. How do you get ahead in this world, or how do you get smarter in this world, if you don't hang out with people who are smarter than you? When I was younger, I was hanging out with people who were older and people who were smarter than me. I always wanted to find someone smarter than me, because I wanted to learn so bad, because I didn't fit into the traditional model of, you know, high school and then go to college and then go on a European trip and then go find a job and have the parents that were going to be like, yes, I'm going to now nepotize you into this new career. That wasn't my upbringing. I pretty much had to go and find my way in society, sink or swim. That was the bootstrap mentality of my household, sink or swim. So I always found people who were older than me, smarter than me. I dated older people that, you know, in my 20s, I dated 30-year-olds. Okay. So it's like, I've always dated someone that's smarter than me because I wanted to get their knowledge. And that's really, you know, what it comes down to is when you guys want to get better, get ahead in whatever manner. It doesn't have to be monetary. It doesn't have to manifest in being rich and famous, but it has to do with to better yourself. But you have to have the biochemistry. Even though I'm going to have the major biochemistry in my 20s, I still have the data. Now, how I organize that data from all of my different experiences in the last 30-something years was now finally the last like 3 years, 5 years, how I organized all that data that I encountered. Because I mean, I traveled to different places, different countries, different states, lived in different places, been to so many different jobs, different industries. I mean, you name it, I probably did something with it in some industry. Okay, so I have all of this knowledge, this data, this experiences, and it's just like, it's like when you look at mind mapping, when you have all these ideas and all these different experiences, a mishmash of stuff. It's like it's a goulash of stuff, but then how do you organize that information to then have it work for you? Okay, and so all of you guys, especially you guys that are older, like my age or older, you have an edge on us as far as the wisdom. But now, how can you organize all of that data? So you may need to kind of cut down on taking in somebody's data, DNA, as far as encounters if you are not monogamous. And now you go and reorganize the data that you already acquired the last 50, 60, whatever, however many years. And so that's why it's so hard for those that are older, because they have so much data. They have to now pick through and release the excess data and then organize the data they have in their body to make it then work for them. So I can only imagine someone on my protocol who's in their 70s that can get through the healing process, what kind of powerhouse and what kind of knowledge they can impart out there in the world. Those are the secret weapons of our society, or those that are in their 70s that can get through the healing process and look like they're 30 and have the knowledge, all that knowledge, and it's organized and it's efficient, and then they can put it to major good use. And they're not to discount those who are my age that can take all the data from their life and organize it. Okay, now because here's the thing, it's not just so much not taking in data when you're in the healing process, it's taking in the right data from the right people. And if someone is not on the protocol, I'm not saying that you're not saying you're going to release everyone that's not on the protocol, because that would be like everybody except for the JJ's crowd. So, but you know how now you're going to learn how to develop converting that energy and then releasing the energy that is really dead weight or that's taxing you so much that their information and what they're doing is just really, really taxing you and is taking more than it really is giving to you. You're going to have to know how to release that. And it's not going to be something you're going to be entertaining. And that's kind of the process that we're developing right now, is how do we process our current environment and the priorities and the commitments that we have, and then how do we release the excess that really isn't giving us too much, so that way we can organize the data that we have today from what we currently are committed to then everything in the past. How do you organize all that data to work to your benefit? Okay, and so when someone is doing tantric sex and they're trying to do the J juice too, and there's no freaking way, because if you're constantly bringing up hormones and then you're trying to, and then the body's trying to suppress it because you're not on it, they're saying that when you have all this tantric sex and you're bringing up the oxytocin and all the endorphins, all these different things, you're basically signaling your body that you're on a death trajectory, and you better be drinking massive amounts of my J juice, which then your body will be fighting itself, and then that's a miserable existence, total miserable. So then I can see why some people get off the protocol when they're all about the sex, because it's easier to go take a drug than it is to actually heal a body. Like I said, some people want to do the drugs. They want to be anesthetized for whatever reason because of past childhood experiences. So so that's why when you heard about me, like in the while last year I was going through my own, like, oh my gosh, is sex really that necessary? And my poor husband and all that stuff. But then at some point, you guys that are married, when you get over that hump, then you will find a balance. Okay, yeah, you know that there's going to be definitely an imbalance in the relationship as far as sex, but it's how you balance it out. It's making sure that your husband or wife know that it's not like you lost interest in them. You're just going through a biochemical change that is going to now have you learn how to balance out giving away your DNA, your minerals. And then when you do want to give it away, you're able to take theirs and convert it to your benefit, and you're able to replenish, because that's what it comes down to. And so some of you are on the protocol and you're single and you want to and you like having different boyfriends, but that will work against you too, because some people have really bad energy, like really bad energy. And then you're taking on that bad energy and maybe you're not strong enough to convert it. So it actually works against you. So it's better to just not take on a stranger's energy like that, especially that intimate, and you just heal and seal. And then you'll be more selective in who it is that you take on. And most likely, if you're going to take on someone's energy and you're healthy, it better be someone hella smarter than you. Go find someone like, Bill Gates. And go, not say that you want to go and marry, but someone that's like Bill Gates but single. You don't want to break up that marriage. But not that you could. I think they're pretty solid. But find somebody that is smarter than you. Find some really smart engineer at some high-level college. Go frequent the libraries or the museums or something. Because that's that's knowledge and data and information that, oh my God, you learn. Not only that just from having sex, because that's not the only thing that's happening, but it's also hanging out with them, listening, and learning from, so relationships are more than just sex. It's also listening to how they look at life, listening to their perception of life and what they're studying and what their job is and what kind of position they hold in a company. And that's all data that you could use for yourself and to understand the bigger picture and understand humanity. So I think I really definitely give a lot of credit to the fact that I was always looking for somebody that was older and smarter to hang out with. Always. Okay? And that will hold you in good stead. But then you got to watch out for the ones that are looking for the younger ones that want to exploit. So there's that imbalance too. So you have to be strong enough to be able to fight against those that have malintention. And that's difficult when you're young because you don't have that kind of stuff. But when you're like my age, or when you guys are doing the protocol and you're strong, you want to look for a mate and you're strong enough, now you can sense who has malintentions and you'll be able to vet them out much more accurately. And then you actually pair up. It doesn't mean you're going to marry them, but at least you're going to take on temporarily their DNA. You get into their world, you understand it, and it's going to only enhance your world. You're going to convert that energy. It's going to work for you. It's going to be minerals too. I mean, that's basically free money when you hang out with people who are smarter than you. That's free money. Well, it's not really free because you're also giving something too. But it's like a treasure when you hang out with someone that's smarter than you. Okay? But I find, that people who have a very messed up DNA will then get with people who are not as smart as them. They want to be the smartest person in the room or in the relationship. And so then the relationship doesn't last very long because then at some point that person can get bored. I was thinking like with as far as marriage, because I wanted to get married like 9 or 10 years ago before I met my husband. And I was looking for a mate. And I picked him out. And my husband has a lot of skills. And I can tell when I was a cold caller, I knew how to figure out who was serious. I knew how to figure out who I was able to at least get a quote as far as insurance. Because insurance is like, it's hard to really sell unless you can sell yourself. The reason why, because there's all the companies sell the same thing. And it's regulated by the government. So how is then your company better than like Allstate? Well, it's really you and the agency that really sells itself. The products will sell themselves, but it's you and the agency that really is what's selling to the customer. So I knew people and I knew how to get into their world because I could tell by voices, I could tell, who was a family, I could tell who would be open in the market, I knew how to get a hold of people on the bat because I would call real estate agents and they're always on the phone, and that's how I would quote them because they also got discounts. So I knew the strategy of getting into people's worlds and then quoting them insurance and getting business, and that was what my job was. So I knew when I talked to my husband that he was very smart. He thought slowly, methodically. He has a lot of skills, mechanical, and even far more than I even imagined because I'm watching him build these CB radios or fix the car or make these stereo consoles with wood and carpet, and I'm just like, damn, you are smart. And so I used to pay a lot of money to like mechanics. I paid $800 one time to a freaking somebody for an alternator for a Ford Focus because I was stuck in the middle of Washington. I didn't know any better, but I paid $800 for an alternator. Okay, so that's how dumb I was around mechanical stuff. And so when I talked to my boyfriend back then, or talked to Jason when I first met him, I could tell that he's in landscaping, he was doing stuff. He was a partier too, of course. But I knew I sensed there was something different in his voice because I'm a fast talker. I'm fast. I'm a salesperson, all this stuff. I slowed down a little bit. But I could tell through his voice what he would have to offer. No, he wasn't super stable back then. He was doing, he came out of a relationship and he was dating around and he had all these different, rebound chicks. And luckily I wasn't the rebound chick, but we ended up talking for like 6 months. And then finally we did get together. And then that was in October of 2010. So it's kind of like an anniversary month, really, when you think about it, of our first meeting. But I could tell that he had skills. So yeah, he wasn't rich. He didn't have all this money in the bank account. If anything, he was couch surfing for a minute. Okay, or he rented this house that had like no furniture. And I'm like, hey, but I knew what I had to offer. I mean, I was doing the cold calling, transatlantic. I had a cell phone from Sacramento, California, and I was calling all the different households in Sacramento, and all the different real estate agents, and selling insurance for somebody in California. So I knew what I had to offer. But he had skills that I knew I didn't have, that I didn't want to have to pay. I mean, I don't ever have to worry about car mechanic ever, or putting air in a tire, which I could do if I had to. But I don't have to worry about that, okay? Because he has those skills. And I have skills from him. I know how to do computer stuff. I know how to fill out paperwork. I know how to do all the secretarial stuff because that's what I've done for a while. And manage certain things. And he knows how to do construction. So it's like you look at what you each have to offer, and just because they don't have money, but they have skills. See, minerals, so either you have the minerals, the money to pay for someone to do something, or you have the skills, which is still minerals. It's still what you have to, his energy goes and splits wood, or he could pay someone to split the wood. He might be doing that anyways, because we're probably going to get more wood for this next winter. But that's what it really comes down to. Okay, so someone can be rich in money, or they can be rich in skills. And so I was saying like, oh yeah, I'll find a rich husband in California. No, because you have to fit a certain part that I didn't fit in California. So then I knew how to convert. That's when I knew how to say, okay, I wasn't going to find a rich husband, so I'm going to find someone that I know has skills and I can offer something and build something. Find a way to build something. I didn't really have a huge vision. I mean, when you meet a stranger, really, and you see, that they're not exactly set up. He didn't have like a house and a car and all this stuff. So I wasn't walking into an instant household. We created it. But I had a vision that we were going to work together, have some kind of adventures, because that's what I like, adventure, and I like new experiences. It's data to me. What I was going to do with it, I had no idea. But then when you come from nothing and you build with somebody, whoever it is, then you start developing your future and developing what you want out of life. And that's what we're doing with the J Juice, is we're building a future for ourselves. We're building a future for our kids. We're building a future for whoever. Okay. And some of you have to kind of chill out on meeting all these different people with the tantric sex stuff, because that's a lot of data that you're taking in that you're not able to really process correctly. And you haven't even processed the data that you've taken in already in the past. So, I mean, you can take in my data to help you kind of process the data that you have in your body. But before you take on all this other data out there, you better get your insides, well balanced to be able to know how to now discern the right data from the wrong data. Because I'm telling you, there's some pretty nefarious people out there. And if your biochemistry is off, your picker, as somebody would say, on Bravo, some of the dating stuff, your picker will be off. Okay? So that's the thing about the J Juice, is that you learn how to convert minerals and data to your benefit. And what does that look like out there in the world when you're not on the J Juice? How people convert their minerals. And you can see in some families where you see certain people, the same socioeconomic status get together, like attracts like. But if you want to rise above your station, or you want to improve yourself, you find someone smarter than you with different skills in a different pond. That's how you expand. And that's why, that's probably why all of us really understand, like all of you that are on the J Juice that are watching me right now, it's so early on Saturday, I know. But that's probably why you guys are getting benefit from the J Juice, because you went outside your pond, outside your comfort zone, you went outside your everything, and you took on new data, and now it's working to your benefit. And I'm so proud of Natalie, you. I see you. I don't really know a lot about what you're doing, but I'm glad to see you. Audrey and Gemma at this point. Okay, even though the few of you, then I'm here at Saturday, 6:30 in the morning, but you guys are converting this information to your benefit. No matter what, even if you don't like this information, you still have it. And at some point, when you're ready to take it on, it's there. So even though my naysayers, They're taking this information, even though they're converting it to other minerals, or converting it to YouTube clicks. They're getting their audience, they're getting their subscriptions. Good for them. Because so anyone that's in my world in some way is converting my information to their benefit in some way. Smart people. But now, is it going to help you down the road? Okay? And if you are a naysayer, converting my energy to benefit you, you better make sure that it prolongs your life and it doesn't suck the life out of you, because I'm telling you, your audience will suck the life out of you. The constant railing against the jelly juice is going to suck the life out of you. But it's also propping me up too, because now you're introducing my information to so many different people who are going to make a choice. They'll be like, who is this chick? This guy is talking so much smack and he keeps talking about her. I got to figure out who he is, or who she is. And then they watch my information, like, oh, wow, she's not as crazy as he claims she is. He's crazy, not she, he is. So it's, so yeah. So that's the whole point of Jade Juice, is just learn how to convert the minerals that you have, learn how to release the excess, and then learn how to then take in new data in a way that's going to work for you. It's not going to work against you. And that's all the Jade Juice really is is the point of it. Okay? And then you lay the groundwork for a new future, whatever that is. And that's exciting, when sky's the limit. Because before, you guys had a really, predictable future. Yeah, you have kids. Yeah, you're in a marriage. Yeah, you're looking at potential retirement. You're in this job, and okay, you want to rise to the next level. You want to get to a promotion, or you want to just keep your job. And you're looking at the political climate. Everyone's going crazy. And you're like, well, where the hell do I fit into all this? Well, now, here you go. Now you just got to just do it. So that's going to be the hardest thing, is just doing the protocol. And you'll go through your hell. And so, I got lucky that my husband has allowed me to stay home. Okay, that I've inspired him enough to allow me to do this, and then he works his ass off. He's an awesome man. I know I influence him, he influences me, and he's a better man and I'm a better woman for what it is that we've built together. And so now, will he do the protocol? Maybe we will. But the whole point of the whole Jade Juice is to know how to organize the data you've acquired the last however many years you've been living. And that if you are a very sexual person in whatever way, the Jade Juice is going to calm that down, so that way you don't take on someone else's data that you can't convert yet because you're not strong enough. So that way you can convert the data that you've already acquired, because every single person you've been with, that's data that your body brought in, from viruses to DNA to whatever. Okay? And so now you have all this data. It's not really in the conscious, because yeah, they're a memory of a person, but all of their skills and abilities and their upsets and their happinesses are all in your body, swirling around, because you are a sum of all of your experiences. Okay, so now the Jade Juice helps you organize that data to work to your benefit, and to then help you live indefinitely, but not just living indefinitely. How do you live indefinitely a quality life? And so no matter what, if you live indefinitely, it's going to be a quality life, because you will be then cutting the fat. And that's what's totally amazing. And that's what I see, in my world. I've cut a lot of fat away. I have now narrowed my focus to a very few people. Because I'm telling you, a lot of people will take your energy. They will suck the life out of you. And you have to know how to put the brakes on. And so then you balance out all the different energies. You take what you can from it, release the rest, and then you set your boundaries. And that's the whole point of Jade Juice. Is how do you set boundaries so you can then work on you organizing all that data you've acquired the last however many years you've been living. And then you see it when you see the reversal of your cancer disease, chronic illness, and your aging process. So yeah, it's great that someone's aging. They have all this wisdom, but eventually it's going to work against you. in your golden years, those of you who are not doing the J juice, all that data that you've acquired, yes, it helped you for a short amount of time, but then it's going to work against you. So why not have it work continuously for you, and then you release the excess? And then you're like, okay, so now that I know I'm not going to really, I'll retire at 65 or whatever that is, and I'll get my Social Security, and then you'll know how to, then you're going to like, what is it? Cut down on all of your different expenses. You're not going to be eating as much. You're not going to want as much. You're not going to be hoarding all this stuff. You're not going to have all these crazy hobbies that are so expensive. And maybe you find a hobby that's less expensive, that's really rewarding, that doesn't cost a lot. And so you can live on $1,300 a month. And then maybe you build up another idea that can then help humanity. And then that $1,300 a month is like the base that is going to help then invest in a new venture for humanity. And then guess what? Now you're not living on $1,300 a month. Now you're living on $2,000 a month, then $3,000, then $4,000. That's the whole thing with the J juice, is that yes, you'll get back to baseline, and then you'll build up from there, but in a different way, a different trajectory. Right now, you guys are on a death trajectory with a very predictable future. So the J juice brings you back to baseline, and then it's a Dr. Phil term too. So there you go, Dr. Phil. I do watch him occasionally. But then, yeah, the J juice brings you back to baseline, and then you go on a different life trajectory. And sky is the limit. But right now, most of you who are not doing the protocol, yeah, you have a very predictable future. Yeah, you're going to retire. Maybe you'll sell the house. You're going to give some of the money to your grandkids when you die, and you're looking forward to your retirement. You have all these plans, but oh wait, you have diabetes, you have all these different diseases, and now you got to manage that. And there's no telling when you're going to kick off, because you don't know how many minerals you really have on reserve. So every single time you get up in the morning, you roll the dice. That's the future for a lot of you who are not on the J juice. You have all these plans, but let me tell you, you have no control over your future. At least now with the J juice, you have a lot more control over your future. Yes, life's going to take a left turn, but you'll know how to manage it and plan for it, because nothing is guaranteed in life. Nothing is guaranteed, but if you follow certain laws, and you are, what is it? You can see indicators, and you can even figure out scenarios in your head of what could potentially be. What would your backup plan be? Then you'd be prepared. You won't be shocked or awed or in dismay of some situation, because you'll be prepared for it. Okay? So, yeah, the J juice does give a lot of people security on their future, because you're getting your minerals back. When you get your minerals back, you are productive. You have the ability to produce. And then sky's the limit on how you want to produce. And you'll like it. It won't be just some coal mining job where you're stuck inside the ground breathing in all these different noxious fumes. You're going to find a different way to contribute to humanity, to help humanity, not just parasite off humanity. And so that's what the whole thing with the Georgia Guidestones, I'm telling you, you guys look up and Google the Georgia Guidestones. Somebody knew that this is where humanity is going to be headed, based upon the indicators of the different generations procreating on weaker and weaker and weaker bodies. And then, yeah, some major virus that is not bad, but it's a strong message from the universe, is going to decimate the weak bodies. And is your body going to be weak, or is it going to be strong during the new messages out there? So J juice gives you that option. So anyways, happy Saturday. I just wanted to say hello. And I don't know if I'll do one tomorrow. I don't know. But you guys have a good morning, okay? And maybe I'll talk to you tomorrow. Maybe I won't. I'll see. I'll see. I always do Sunday morning lives, but I might just go off course a little bit, change it up a tiny bit. Since I did work Saturday, I might take Sunday off. That's not horrible. I've done it a handful of times. All right. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.